What is cracking, everybody? It is your boy Elder Cracker, and today I have some more Dark and Darker content for you guys. I know that the playtest just ended and you guys are little crackheads scratching your wrist for more content, and today I decided to, you know what? Screw the fact that the game's beta testing closed. Screw that. Today we are going to be talking about 5 survival tips to increase your longevity in each round of Dark and Darker. Now, we aren't talking about like, oh, use a potion to, heal yourself up, or, oh, break the spider's, urn to break out the urn. We're not, no, none of that basic shit. Okay? No, today we are going over 5 tips, which you may or may not really see in other YouTube videos, because these ones think outside the box a little bit, if I do say so myself. And with that being said, let's get started. Well, speaking of spider vases, spiders do tend to wipe out players a lot more than you think they should. They're squishy, they die fast, so why do people die from them? Well, it tends to be one of two things. One, they can't aim for shit, and then they get their ankles bitten like fucking Achilles, and then they go down. Two, they genuinely cannot see them, and they get swarmed by 3 to 4 spiders, and by the time they notice they're getting attacked, it's way too late. So, how can you fix this? Well, you can definitely hear spiders in a room before you go into it. And one tip that I find incredibly helpful when it comes to surviving more often is jumping up on a crate, a chest, or even the spider's vase itself. By doing this, the spiders cannot reach you, and it allows you to assess your situation. You can throw a torch on the ground, you can see them, you can either wait until your teammate's there. If you're low on health, you can heal. All of this just by jumping up and abusing the mechanics, because the spiders cannot reach you. So before you break and smash open that urn, or before you break and smash open that crate, think, do I need to reevaluate my situation before I show up on the kill feed that I was killed by mummy spiders? Second, know which rooms are prone to fights. So, certain rooms in Dark and Darker are actually more prone to having fights than others. Rooms such as the Zombie Ravine, the Booby-Trapped Mummy, and the Champion Wraith Room all have multiple entrances and exits, which means higher chance of encountering others. If you look at each one of these rooms, they have tons and tons of doors, which means you are more likely to run into somebody in one of these rooms, which means you're more than likely going to have a fight in one of these rooms. If you are not looking for a fight, or you do not want to engage in PvP, maybe you're low on health, maybe you're missing a teammate, maybe your teammate already left, maybe you found something really good and you don't want to die, it is best to avoid these rooms. This is where players tend to fight more often than others, and this does not mean that other rooms don't have PvP. It is just that these rooms tend to draw more attention to players, also due to loot quality. Keep in mind, by avoiding these rooms, you do avoid the chance of finding more loot, not necessarily better or worse loot. Number 3. So, you don't want to avoid people, right? You want to fight. However, you still keep dying. Well, and if you know me, I will tell you, put a cleric on your team. Now, clerics are one of the best classes that make amazing additions regardless of team composition. You could have a ranger, a fighter, and a cleric. It's a beautiful composition. You can have a wizard, and a cleric. Somewhat useful composition. You can have a barbarian, a fighter, and a cleric. Terrifying composition. Like, you can use a cleric with any of these, and they provide insanely strong buffs and insanely strong heals on any team, which naturally increases survival. They're a walking fucking bandage, for crying out loud. They're a walking mobile campfire. They're a filled with blood health potion. They fulfill all of that, and of course it's going to increase your survivability. Now, number 4 is something I tend to see, especially with the melee characters, and that is, don't spawn an entire room immediately. So many times I'll see a barbarian or a fighter rush into a room to engage in combat, and they trigger the spawns that are spread evenly out through a room. By doing this, instead of taking on 1 to 2 skeletons at a time, they are soon surrounded by hordes and hordes of mummies or skeletons, which, not to say no one can take on, there's plenty. It's definitely doable to take on hordes and hordes of zombies and skeletons, but you're just jeopardizing your health. And as you guys have experienced, losing health can be the end of your game. Even a nick of health gone, it puts you a disadvantage for your next fight against actual people. So what I recommend is when you enter a room, trigger the first 2 spawns. Kill them, rinse, repeat. Go further, raise the 2 spawns, rinse, repeat. Go further, kill them, and you will save so much health because you have significantly less enemies posing a threat to you and your teammates. And finally, the final tip of this video: instigating a fight too soon or too late. Now, this seems kind of vague, so let me clarify a little bit more. Positioning and info are key to winning team fights. I have seen constantly people who see a rogue or a ranger about to scope out a room, opening the door with their bow drawn, and they think, oh, Lone Ranger. The melee character proceeds to progress and charges at the ranger, thinking that they are by themselves, only to be surprised when they see a shielded fighter and a cleric behind them in the room. Gathering information is essential before instigating a fight. If you do not know the 3 people, or firstly, if you do not know how many people you are dealing with, that's an issue. Secondly, if you do not know who you are dealing with, that's an even bigger issue. If they have a cleric and they have a wizard and a ranger, the wizard and the ranger may be squishy, but they have insanely more survivability when they are with a cleric. And because you only saw those 2 and you completely dodged the fact that there's a cleric there, you have just put yourself in a position and put them on the defensive where they gathered more information about you charging at them before you knew about what they had in their room. So before you start a fight, look, gather information. Getting 1 kill is not going to satisfy your needs. Trust me, I know, bashing in the heads of your enemies is so satisfying, right? But nothing pisses you off more than thinking you found a weak ranger to pick off only to be sexually assaulted by a barbarian with berserk, okay? Please, please, evaluate the situations and be defensive if you have to. You're not being a pussy, you're just being smart. And those are all the tips that I have for you guys today on how to survive longer and have better success in Dark and Darker. As always, please don't forget to like and subscribe to this type of content if you want to see more. And as always, have a big dong and always prosper, and I'll see you next time. Elder Cracker out.